Her Serene Highness Princess Therese of Liechtenstein is a PhD in Immunology and Immunotherapy of University College in London. To begin with, what does modern biotechnology do?
Well, there's several applications, but basically biotechnology means that you're using biological systems or organisms to produce useful products. So in agriculture, it could be that you're genetically engineering crops to produce crop species that are more resistant to pests or have a higher nutritional quality. And in medical applications, it could be to produce therapeutic proteins or cell therapy, gene therapy that are being used to alleviate severe diseases. And then there's additional applications in industrial biotech for the production of food or textiles.
Is biotechnology something new?
No, actually it's not. If you consider that it's basically us using a biological system or an organism to produce a useful product, we've been doing this since we started settling down in 10,000 BC or so. We started crossing different plants with each other to get desired traits. We've been producing alcohol. So, for example, making wine through fermentation, you're actually using a microorganism to produce alcohol. We didn't know that we were using microorganisms or that we were actually engaging in biotech, but we were already using biological systems since always.
So biotechnology is 12,000 years old, but why are we discussing it now as if it was something new?
So I think if you think about the beginning of modern biotechnology is when we started to crack the genetic code, so understanding what DNA sequences are encoding for which proteins, then we could start to engage in more precise techniques of genetic engineering. And so the possibilities became greater. The techniques actually have become more precise and more predictable. So we don't have to cross different species with each other, check with the offspring, do they have the desired traits or not. In this technique, you're moving many pieces of genes, while in our modern techniques, we can do one precise incision. And I think people are not aware that actually our techniques have become so much safer and more predictable. And so they're a bit afraid of what we can do because they don't understand that we've been always doing it just in a less controlled manner.
You're saying that our techniques are getting more secure, but at the same time, and counterintuitively, the sector is getting ever more regulated. Why is that so?
I think it has to do with the misconception that actually these techniques are less secure, and so regulators are reflecting a bit the public feeling. I mean, in the end, regulators and governments are also humans. If they don't understand certain processes themselves, they also don't know how to deal with them.
So you think the ever tighter regulation is only due to a lack of understanding?
Well, I think there could be different factors playing into it: a lack of understanding, a lack of a fear of public backlash. I mean, we live in a time where people are afraid of shitstorms, of public outcry. People are politically correct. Governments are trying to please their people. They're trying to bribe their people into getting re-elected. So I think it's a mix out of these reasons.
Could you give us a brief overview on what is the innovative edge of the biotechnological sciences right now? What are scientists working on right now?
So for medical applications, we've had some recent very exciting breakthroughs, for example, in cancer therapy, where we have in 2017 had the first approvals of CAR T therapy. Basically, there you're taking the immune cells of patients, you're genetically modifying them to be able to recognize cancer cells and fight them. And you're putting them back into the patient, and we've seen remarkable efficacies in certain types of blood cancers that have been very resistant to treatment so far. Another really exciting breakthrough has been the recent approval of an actually in vivo gene therapy for people with a genetically caused blindness. So there you're correcting a gene in vivo in patients in their eye and highly improving vision of these patients.
Everything you just told us now are good news.
Yes.
And still people are preoccupied about the risk.
Yeah, well, I think, yes, I mean, I think it's good to also take into account potential risks. However, the pharmaceutical industry is highly regulated, so people are looking at the risks very closely, and things are not being approved lightly.
What does the future of biotechnology bring us?
So I think it could be new techniques, more efficient ones, where we can be even more precise and predictable. We'll be able to cure or even treat more diseases, and yeah. So I think it will be, as it's always been, a continual evolution of the techniques that we've been able to use and that we're using now, moving forward.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. What I'd like to do today as an introduction, today's topic is to give you an introduction on what biotech is, what genetic engineering is, and I'll give you a mix of the history of biotech, the techniques that we're able to use now, the applications that we're using them for now, as well as in the near futures.